Hello, welcome to this lesson on solving equations by taking a square root. So we've learned about exponents and exponent rules, learned about scientific notation. Now you're learning about how to solve an equation with a power, basically. So we've learned about solving equations, but this is kind of taking it one step further. So let's look at we have three examples here, okay, and working through to harder ones as we go. So this first one is probably the most straightforward. I'm going to try and draw on the screen. We'll see if it works or not. When you have an equation like this, the way that you remove or get rid of this x squared is to move the power of 2 to the other side by taking the square root. So the way we get this from here to here, draw a little arrow, is by doing the opposite. Remember, just like adding and subtracting, when we're solving equations and multiplying and dividing, we need to do the opposite. And the opposite of squaring is a square root. So we do x squared equals the square root of 196. And I think if I've done it right, let's see. Okay, it just shows the square root of 196, which is 14. Okay, so square root of 196 is 40. You can do it on your calculator, or maybe you knew that already. Okay, next example. All right, so now instead of having just x squared equals something, we have another little piece added on here. Just like when we solved equations before, we need to do the opposite of adding 35 in order to move it to the other side of the equation. So the opposite is to subtract 35, and we need to do that over here as well. We're just doing this quickly. Okay, this plus 35 and minus 35 becomes 0, and 84 minus 35 gives you 49. Let's see if it works. Okay, now we're back to the situation we had in the last question, where we need to take the square root of 49 in order to bring this squared over here to this side of the equation. Then we're just left with x. And and of course the square root of 49 is 7. Just going to erase. Okay, and the last example, now you have three pieces. You have your x squared component, you have a number now in front of the x squared, and you have this number either added or subtracted. But the rules of algebra still follow. The opposite of subtracting 250 is to add 250. Okay, and if we do that on this side, we need to also do that on this side. Add 250. I'm just going to write messy because I'm going to go quick here. Okay, this one and this one become 0. That's the whole idea. And then 614 plus 250 is 864. So let's click ahead here. All right. Now you need to decide how are you going to get rid of, how are you going to move this piece, this 6, over to this side. Because it's being multiplied here, 6 times x squared, we need to do division by 6. Okay, so if we divide by 6 on each side, this one and this one, they don't become 0, becomes 1. 6 divided by 6 is 1, but that's fine because 1x squared is something we can deal with. And then 864 divided by 6. You could use your calculator. Oh, it's cut off at the bottom here, but it says 144. Maybe that'll go away in a second. Okay, so x squared equals 144. And then we need to do the square root of 144. Let's see if I can draw. It's not letting me draw. Anyways, there we go. Okay, square root of 144 is 12. So x equals 12. You could check if this is correct by taking the number 12, okay, and inserting it here in the position of x. Okay, so 6 times 12 squared, that's 6 times 144. That gives you 864, and then subtract 250 gives you 614. All right, Now, there's one other important thing to note. This is kind of an extension piece, is that this answer here and in all of these square root questions could also be minus 12. Okay, you could have a negative number as your answer because if you put negative 12 in the position of x squared, negative 12 times negative 12 gives you positive 144, and that works. So all of these answers, anytime you take a square root, you can get a positive and a negative answer. So you'll notice sometimes in the answer sheet is that you have a positive and negative version, sometimes actually written like this, plus, minus, and then 12 to show that we have two answers for the square root. Okay, so same when we went back to those other examples. Let me just erase this quickly. Same here, the square root of 49, we could have had an answer of negative 7 as well. So 7 and negative 7 are acceptable answers. And with this one, when you do the square root of 196, your answer is 14 or negative 14. That's also another possibility because you could put negative 14 in here. Negative 14 times negative 14 gives you positive 196. So important to know that as a little bit of an extension piece coming up. Thank you.